Ever wonder what it takes to get a permit to build an apartment building in Petaluma? Or how would you go about getting a permit to build a new hotel in Petaluma? Or what if you wanted to build a large manufacturing facility? Who would you have to talk to, and what are some of the steps that are required to get a permit? Petaluma's Community Development Department contains both the planning department and the building department. First, you need to get a planning permit, then you need to get a building permit. At the planning department, they'll tell you where you can build what. Like in some areas, it's okay to build houses. In other areas, it's okay to build hotels and stores. Once you get through the planning department, then you can go to the building department and have engineered plans reviewed for the current building codes. The planning department itself is broken down into two different functions. There's a long-range planning function, which sets policy and standards, and then there's the project review portion of planning, where when you go in and get your permit to build a new house, a hotel, apartments, whatever it is, that's where they review your project for compliance with the long-range planning policies. Our general plan takes a look at the town as a whole, and it divides it into different sub-areas for planning. We're in the middle of writing a completely new general plan. The general plan is a visionary document. What do we want the town to look like 25 years from now? In long-range planning, they write up ideas and come up with drafts, but ultimately, it is always the city council that establishes the rules, that decides what the general plan and what the zoning regulations will say. It is the city council that legislatively determines what the rules are for future development in the city. The person in Petaluma who oversees both the day-to-day operations of the planning department and of the building department is Brian O. Underneath him, Andrew Triple is the planning manager. Everything that happens with land use planning and with the building department is also under the watchful eye of City Attorney Eric Danley. Much of land use planning is set forth in state law, and a lot of what our town does is merely following the rules and regulations set forth at a state level. And the person who's the linchpin between all the various employees and departments and the city council is City Manager Peggy Flynn. This gives you an idea of some of the people involved with land use planning and building review. Obviously, the main players are the city council. They're the ones who get to make legal decisions. City council is put in place by the voters, and the city council is advised by a number of commissions who are made up of members of the public. Planning commissions worth mentioning here, Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee. There's quite a few commissions and advisory bodies that give the city council recommendations. City council is in constant touch with city manager Peggy Flynn. I believe the city manager actually sits down with each of the city council members on a weekly basis just to talk over things, to see what's going on, what concerns they have, what issues are trying to move forward. And then the city manager is the one that takes the agenda and the dictates and the legislative action of the city council and then parses it out to the various staff members to get it done. You can see City Attorney Eric Danley. Our Public Works Department takes care of streets, water, and sewer. The main person there is Christopher Bolt. As I mentioned, Brian O. is our Community Development Director. Got the fire chief, got a police chief. Going down underneath Brian O., I mentioned planning manager Andrew Triple, and he runs the entire planning department. Off in a parallel function is Heather Hines, who does special planning department projects. Brian O. is also running a housing department and the code enforcement department. So that's kind of a quick and dirty review of some of the players, or many of the players that are involved with land use planning. I haven't gone very deeply into the building department. Any project of any size, whether it's a single family house, apartments, a hotel, whatever, is first going to go through the planning process. It's going to go through environmental review. It may end up in front of the planning commission, some of the other advisory commissions. It may end up in front of the city council. And then after it goes through all of that, if it's approved, only then would someone then go to the building department and say, hey, here's my engineered plans. I need to get a building permit, and that's when our building department would review the plans to see that they meet building codes, engineering standards, etc. The fire department might take a look at it. In some cases, the Department of Public Works would take a look at it to make sure all of the issues for the city have been reviewed. Many of the people who staff the various departments in our city are full-time employees of the city. In the planning department, almost all of those people are provided by by a planning consultant firm known as the M Group. And finally, because I know it's a hot topic these days, the city has recently done a cost-benefit analysis. You can look it up for yourself. They've done some analysis on how much more it would cost the city to begin or to completely replace the outside consultant with an in-house planning group. I just did this pretty quickly. I know some people have a hard time figuring out who all the people are. Honestly, there's several new people here. I have a hard time keeping track of everybody as well. If you see something that I overlooked or missed or made a mistake, please send me a comment, a direct message. Let me know, because I'm interested in cleaning this up and making it better for the future as well.